The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. This is Ryan Levesque here, and I am really excited for the online training class that we have today. This is going to be a lot of fun. I think you're going to learn a lot, and we're going to be covering a lot. Before we dive right in, I just want to make sure that you can hear me. So if you would just do me a favor, can you just in the chat bar say, hey, Ryan, I can hear you loud and clear. You sound great. Audio sounds good. If you could just do me that favor, that would be fantastic. Let's see. Kathy says yes. Steve says yes. Let's see. Jacqueline, Kurt, hey, how are you guys doing? Tim, Scott, Carl, Curlin, Darwin, Jason, Norman, Thomas, Julie, Dave, David, a lot of Daves, Bobby, Ken, another David P, Melissa, Wim, Lindsay, Abra, Natalia, Brian, Chris, Lori, Joanne, wow, Paul, Bryson, Sharon, Alex, Clive, Kata, Jack, Julie, Tatiana, Christina, Ed, Doc, Mark, Sharon, James, Andrew, Marie, Karen, Sam, Audra, Paul, Cindy, Matt. Awesome. And one last question. Can you just see my screen? Screen should be a photograph of my face and should be a photograph of the book cover that I know many people on this call either will be receiving a copy of very shortly. So if you just let me know that the screen is showing well, and we're going to dive right in and rock and roll. Yes, we're even getting in foreign languages. Oui, monsieur. Awesome. Yep, I see 3 screens. Oh, 3 screens. Let's see. We just want to see one. Here we go. Let's see. Screen 3. Screen 2. All right. Now we should see 1 screen. Let me just make sure that's good. There we go. Awesome. Thank you, Fernando, Brian, Kathy. There we go. Awesome. So as you can see, I'm not the most technically gifted person. And I think that's really important because I know so many people on this call are not necessarily the most technically gifted. I know there are some people on this call that are going to be brilliant technicians, smart, brilliant programmers. I myself have not one. And the reason why I bring that up is because it just goes to show you the type of results and the type of impact that you can have using what I'm about to show you in your business, even if you're like me and you can't even figure out how to show 1 screen on a webinar. So this is going to be really cool. What I'm going to be showing you is what I consider the slightly weird ask formula, which has generated over 3.3 million leads, over 200,000 customers across 23 different markets. I'm going to be showing you some of those markets, and has, as a result, generated over $100 million in revenue. And what I want to do is I want to go 1 level deeper than what you are going to be seeing in the book and show you some actual real live examples of what this formula looks like in action, and specifically so you can start using this in your business. And so you can start using it whether or not you are a solopreneur and you have a 1-person business, or if you're like some of my clients and you have a 7, 8, or 9-figure business. We're going to be going through some examples to show you what this looks like in action and show you how you can use it no matter what you sell, no matter what market you're in, and how you can use it to take your business to the next level. Now, before we dive right in, one of the biggest questions that I'm always asking myself when I attend an online training class like this is this for me? Is this something that I'm going to be able to use in my business? So I want to take a moment and answer that question, who this is for. So if you are launching a new business, a new product, or a new project, or if you have an existing business that you've struggled to make cold traffic work, and by cold traffic I mean Facebook traffic, Google AdWords traffic, YouTube traffic, any form of traffic that you might be sending to your website, or if you're tired of having to rely on joint venture traffic, running internal launches, relying on affiliates to keep your business going, or if you simply want a proven evergreen funnel, a sales funnel that you can build once and then set it and forget it, something that will generate passive income in your business for your life year after year, or if you have clients in any one of these situations, what I'm going to show you is what I consider to be the holy grail of online marketing, which is how to convert cold traffic into customers, how to take someone who doesn't know who you are and transform them into a customer and do it reliably, consistently, and do it in scale so you can build a business built around your life and something that will provide the type of lifestyle for you and your family that you want. Now listen, I get it. This sounds great, right? But the big question is, well, how are you going to do this? What's the secret? What's the secret sauce? Well, the way you're going to do this is with this right here. Now, this flow chart represents the model that my team and I have used to go into market after market after market. I'm going to be explaining what some of those markets are in just a moment. And it's something that we've replicated and fine-tuned over the last decade. This, in a nutshell, is the ask formula. Some people also know it as the survey funnel formula. And the reason why is because it uses a series of surveys at a set of very specific locations in your sales process, which are designed to dramatically increase your online website conversions. Now, we only have a limited amount of time together, and we're not going to be able to go into detail to cover every single box that you see on this page. So what I want to do is we're going to focus on 3 of the highest leverage areas, things that you can take some notes. So I want to make sure that you have a pen and a notebook, piece of paper handy. Take some notes so you can begin immediately applying this in your business seconds after we jump off the call. Now, whenever I've done this presentation and shared some of this information in the past, there have been people who've always asked me, but Ryan, is there any way that we could get a copy of this flow chart? So what I want to do is this. If you would like a copy of this flowchart, do me a favor. In the chat right now, say, yes, I want this. Yes, I would like a copy of the flowchart. Ryan, I would love a copy. And I have one of my team members on the call. We're going to take a count of how many people are interested. If enough people are interested at the end of the call, remind me, and I will make a way available for you to get a free copy of this flowchart so you can print it up, you can blow it up. I've had people before that have printed this up. They've gone to Kinko's, they've blown it up nice and big, put it on their wall, and they use this as the roadmap for their business. Okay? So it looks like there are a lot of people who really want this, and I think we're probably gonna hit our number to make sure that we do this. So cool. So back to what we were just talking about. The question is, how do you do this? How do you take cold website traffic and convert that traffic into customers predictably, consistently, reliably, with taking all the guesswork out of the process and do it in scale? Well, the way you're going to do this is you're going to ask people what they want. But the catch is you have to do it in a counterintuitive, slightly indirect way. And the reason why I bring that up is because whenever I bring up the concept of asking people what they want, inevitably someone will bring up this quote. It's a quote that's attributed to Henry Ford, and the quote reads, "If I had asked people what they wanted, they would have told me faster horses." And the reason why this quote rings true is because it is true. You see, you cannot directly ask people what they want. In fact, many people are familiar with a quote by Steve Jobs, and he says, and I'm paraphrasing him, focus groups are inherently worthless because people don't know what they want until they've seen it. And again, the reason why that quote is true, rings true, is because it is true. And let me illustrate that with an example. So I want you to imagine for a moment, close your eyes, and I want you to imagine that you're hanging around with a bunch of your friends and family. You're all sitting around your living room. You're comfortable on the couch. You're all hanging out, having a great conversation. And at some point, someone raises the idea and says, hey, is anybody getting hungry? And everyone kind of starts nodding their heads and says, yeah, getting a little bit hungry. And the person says, great. Well, what do you guys feel like eating? What happens next? If you're like my family and my friends, inevitably you go around the room and you say, I don't know, what do you feel like? See, people don't know what they want. But there are 2 specific types of information that people are really good at knowing. And this is the first thing that you're going to want to write down. So instead of asking people what they want, if in that same situation, if you were to say, okay, well, let's start narrowing down the options. Is there something that you don't want? Immediately, people are really good at answering that. You'll get all sorts of useful responses, and people will say things like, oh, I really don't want pizza because I'm trying to eat gluten-free. Or they'll say something like, I don't want sushi because I'm allergic to shellfish, and shellfish is always a really big challenge. And that leads us to the first type of information that people are really good at answering when it comes to answering questions online and in person, which is people know what it is that they do not want. That's the first type of information. Second type of information. Again, you're around this group of friends, family, sitting on the couch in your living room, and if you ask the question, okay, well, let's narrow it down a little bit further. What did you guys have for dinner last night? You get all sorts of useful, accurate information. People are generally good at remembering what they had for dinner last night. You'll get answers like people will say, oh, I had pizza last night, I had burgers last night, we went out for seafood, we had Italian, whatever. And if you think back to what you had for dinner last night right now, chances are, if you're like most people, you can probably remember. Now, the reason why I wanted to go through this as an example is because it sets something up that's important. And the important thing is this. The reason why most marketers who use surveys in their business don't get the type of results that I'm about to show you, over 200,000 customers, 3 million leads, $100 million in online revenue, is because most marketers do surveys wrong. Okay? And if we go back to the Henry Ford example for a moment, if instead of asking what people wanted, if Henry Ford would have said, well, what is it that you don't like about riding horses? He would have gotten all sorts of useful information. People would have said things like, I don't like the fact that horses are slow. I don't like the fact that my horse gets tired and I have to stop and feed him and give him water. I don't like the fact that when it rains outside and I'm riding my horse, I get all wet. I don't like the fact that when my horse gets old, I need to replace him because he can't carry me anymore. And the list goes on and on and on. You see, as entrepreneurs, it's our opportunity to take that information and present people with the right solution. And there's a way to do this that takes all the guesswork out of the process. And that's what I'm about to show you. And the reason why this is so exciting is because when you use this, you can have the type of success rate that we've had going into market after market after market successfully. And the reason why isn't because I'm any smarter than any other marketer, nor is it because our team is any smarter. It's because we have a process. And it's a process that I'm going to give you here today that takes all the guesswork out of launching anything new, entering any new market, building any new sales funnel, and trying to interpret what it is that your customers want to buy. And that leads us to the subtitle of the book, which is so exciting, The Counterintuitive Online Formula to Discover Exactly What Your Customers Want to Buy, Create a Mass of Raving Fans, and Take Any Business to the Next Level. The mass of raving fans is important because what's beautiful about this process is this is one of these rare things that's a win-win for you, and it's also a win-win for your customers. Because when you ask people what it is that they want in the indirect way that I'm about to show you, and you give it to them, your customers become much more satisfied. They become raving fans. They love the fact that you've pointed them in the right direction. At the same time, your profits soar because you've won over all these customers. It's one of these rare win-win opportunities that is beneficial on both sides. And taking any business to the next level, I think you're going to see with the examples that we go through that this is something that any business can apply, that can use. And even if you are, it doesn't matter if you are a consultant or if you sell physical goods online, if you sell supplements or information, and it doesn't matter what market you're in and what traffic source that you use. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that. Now, before we dive into all the good stuff and all the meat and potatoes, I want to take just a few seconds to answer the second question that I'm always asking whenever I decide to attend an online training class, and it's, should I pay attention to the person delivering the information? Is this someone I can trust? Is this someone who has walked the walk and not just talking the talk? Is this someone that's worth paying attention to? So I want to just take a moment to give you a little bit about my background, how this formula came about, and the reason why I want to do this is I want to give you the confidence to know that what you're about to discover has been tested, it's been stress tested, it's been battle tested in market after market, so that you know that this isn't just some flash in the pan aberration. This is something that's been used successfully and quite profitably for the last 10 years in a number of different markets and circumstances. So People know me as the funnel specialist, and the reason why is because building the online sales funnels, and a sales funnel, by the way, if you're not familiar with that term, is nothing more than the series of steps that you want your prospect to take, someone who has not done business with you in the past, to become a customer. In most cases, this is a series of steps that someone might take. It's more than just one. And we call it a funnel because it starts wide at the top. You have a large mass of people who may be a fit for what you do, and small at the bottom because there may be a smaller number of people who actually do become customers. So the visual of a funnel is a good representation of this process. When I say funnel specialist and why people call me that, again, the numbers are simple. 3 million leads, 200,000 customers, 23 different markets, $100 million in online revenue. And the client partners that my team and I have worked with include building the #1 golf instruction site in the world, the #1 tennis instruction site in the world, the #2 satellite TV provider in the United States, the #3 business funding provider in the United States. By the way, these are all companies that pretty much everybody on this call would be familiar with. The #1 alkaline health company in the UK and Australia, one of the top 10 weight loss supplement companies in the United States, one of the top 5 fitness instruction companies in the United States, the #1 largest dog training property in the world, and the list goes on and on and on. And just to give you a sense for the type of success that we've had in our own company doing this, people pay my company and I large sums of money plus an ongoing % of the profits for the results that we generate. And that upfront investment ranges from anything from $15,000 to upwards of $100,000. And you can see a few examples of this from our corporate bank account, plus an ongoing monthly recurring fee based on the results that we generate. Typically, this is in the thousands, sometimes tens of thousands of dollars per month. In addition to that, I also have a private consulting practice where I work with high-level CEOs and entrepreneurs one-on-one. People pay $5,000 a month to get access to me for anywhere from 30 minutes to 60 minutes of my time every single week. And that consulting practice is filled with 20 CEOs and has been booked for over 18 months, with a wait list over 100 people who are waiting to work with me. And the reason why all of this is true is simple. The reason why is because this stuff works. Now, what you see in front of you here is a dashboard from one sales funnel in one market where we generated last year just under $9 million in revenue, $8.9 million. And you can see that we also generated over $6 million in profit. Now, lest you think that this is something that only works for large companies that are doing 8 figures or 9 figures, let's go through a few other examples. So here's another example with another company in which we generated about $126,000 in revenue last year in 2014, and already in 2015, less than 1 month into the year, we've already generated $28,000 in revenue. So right now, we're on pace to almost triple what we did last year. The difference, we've applied the formula that I'm about to show you. Now, lest you think that this is something that only works for existing businesses, let me walk you through how we've taken businesses from start to finish, or from ground zero, using this exact formula. So what you see here is a new business that we launched exactly a year ago in January of 2014, and you can see the revenue growth that we've had all the way through the last 12 months. We've gone from 0 to what will be 6 figures in just 12 months. In fact, that's not that dissimilar from my own path. So a little bit about my story and how this came about. As you'll discover when you read the book, I'm someone who started with very modest circumstances. I'm the first person in my family to ever go to college. My dad worked for the post office growing up, and my mom cut hair for a living. Money was tight, and I worked hard to get to where I went. And long story short, I managed to not only become the first person in my family to go to college, I actually graduated with an Ivy League degree from Brown University and studied both Chinese and neuroscience in college. Now, after college, I spent a little bit of time working on Wall Street and eventually lived in China for about 5 years, where I was working for the company AIG. And I was leading a team of 24 people speaking nearly fluent Chinese, running that company where I had a quarter-life crisis. I basically came to this epiphany that I didn't want to spend the rest of my life doing this, and at about age 25, I sort of had this breakdown. And I said, I wrote this letter to my mom, and you'll see the letter in the book. It's actually pretty embarrassing. It's something that up until this book nobody had ever seen before. And I really wrote the letter to myself. And the letter was basically, I have a fire inside of me, and that fire is almost extinguished. And if I'm not careful, if I don't do something about it now, then the fire is going to go away, and it's never going to come back. And I said, you have to trust me. You have to trust me, and this was to my mom, to my family, to my wife. I said, you have to trust me that I'm going to do something that's going to sound a little bit crazy, but I want to let you know that within 6 months, I'm going to quit my job, and I'm going to be doing something completely different. And that letter was in 2008. And at the time, I was moonlighting as an entrepreneur, dabbling in this online business thing and not having a ton of success until I started using this ask formula. That was my first big breakthrough. And long story short, we launched a business in the jewelry making space, and we took that business to generate about $10,000 a month. This was in 2008. The world financial crisis hit. I walked into my office one day and read on the front page of the Wall Street Journal Asia edition, AIG to file for bankruptcy. Had that oh crap moment, called my wife and said, honey, I think it's time. I handed in my resignation letter to my boss, quit my job, and my wife and I were actually living in 2 different countries at the time. I was in Shanghai, she was in Hong Kong. She was pursuing a PhD program at Hong Kong University. I was based in Shanghai, and we would come to see each other, travel every 2 weeks. Sold everything that I owned except for 2 suitcases worth of stuff. Moved in with my wife in Hong Kong in a tiny 400 square foot apartment, and on a $450 laptop, turned out to build a multi-million-dollar company that does publishing, software, consulting, and training, which is what we have today. What's interesting is life doesn't always turn out the way you think it would be. After moving in with my wife, we launched, we had that jewelry making business. It was in the Scrabble tile jewelry niche. We were teaching people how to make jewelry with Scrabble tiles. And in 2008, it was this huge craze that was going on. 3 weeks after I quit my job from AIG, not only did the world financial markets crash, and this is where Bear Stearns and Lehman Brothers and all those companies went bankrupt, but the worldwide Scrabble tile jewelry market crashed as well, and that business that we started that went from nothing to $10,000 a month crashed, and we were back to ground zero. And we both had this panic reaction, like, what are we going to do? How are we going to make this work? But in that process of launching that business, I learned 2 lessons. Number one, never go into a fad market like that ever again, because you never know when the fad or the trend is going to end. Number 2, I had a process. And with that process, we launched what I consider to be our first real online business in a second market, which was in the gardening space, which we took from nothing to $25,000 a month within 18 months, which is what you see here. And then we replicated the process again in the jewelry making market, in the memory improvement market, which is the screenshot that you see here on the right, which we took to another 6-figure business. And with that process in mind, that was the kernel that led us to create the business that we have today, where we've generated the results that you see in 23 different markets, some of the markets that I mentioned. And if you spend some time on our website, you'll see some of the companies that we work with and the type of results that people have gotten. Anywhere from increasing their sales by $15,000 a week, anywhere from tripling their profit, anywhere from increasing their online conversion rate by 100%, and the list goes on. Now, the reason why I wanted to give you this background is twofold. Number one, I want to give you the confidence that what you're about to see has something that's something that has been used in market after market, and not just markets that are how to make money, but markets as diverse as selling online jewelry to dog training to satellite television, and the list goes on. Number two, I also want to tell you that no matter where you are right now in your business, if you have a multi-million-dollar company with a team spread across the world, or if you're living in a 400 square foot apartment and living on a $50 a week grocery budget like my wife and I did, I've been there. I've been where you are, and I understand what you might be going through right now. And I want to show you that there's a place for this, what I'm about to show you, no matter where you are in your business, no matter where you are in your professional life. So I'm going to leave you with one last thought, then we're going to dive into the meat and potatoes of what we got to talk about, and that's this. Simplicity is powerful. Simplicity is powerful. The reason why I bring this up is because I think for a lot of us, myself included, that we get caught up in shiny object syndrome. We get caught up in the newest technology, and it's like this rat race that we get caught up in where once we've figured something out, it changes again. New technology changes, and so we're always behind. We're always playing catch up, and it's frustrating. It creates a tremendous amount of anxiety, and that horizon always moves further in the distance. And what I've learned in doing this for almost 10 years now in the last decade is that it's the simple stuff that's most powerful. Things need to first be complex, then they become simple again. And when they become simple, that's where the aha moments come up. So I don't want you to underappreciate or underestimate the power of what we're going to be covering, because like most things in life, from the wheel to electricity, the simplest things are often the most powerful. So I'm going to take a sip of water, and we're going to dive right in. We're going to start by talking about the 3 biggest mistakes that I see with the businesses who come to me for help. And this is true for everybody from new businesses who are just getting started, all the way through the 9-figure clients who are doing north of $100 million a year in their business who work with me. And I work with both. Now, the first mistake that I see with the clients that work with me is the following. The traffic that they're going after is too broad. And I want to give you an example. So let me ask you a question. If you were, and let's say, for example, you had an online business or brick and mortar business where you're advertising online, and you are a local plumber. Okay, you're a local plumber, and you're in my home city of Austin, Texas, and you're advertising online, right? And if someone types in the keyword in Google, how to fix someone has a leaky toilet problem, they type in the keyword, how to fix a leaky toilet, plumber, Austin, Texas. What kind of ad would you write for that? What kind of advertisement would you write? It's pretty easy, right? I'm sure the hundreds of people that are on this call right now, we could probably come up with some really good ads. Something like, have a leaky toilet, need a plumber in Austin, call us at 512 whatever. Very simple, right? But the problem is, how many people do you think are searching every single month on the keyword plumber to fix leaky toilet, Austin, Texas? Maybe 2 at best. The question is, how do you make the higher volume traffic on a keyword like plumbing work, which might get tens of thousands of searches every single month? What about something like home improvement, which gets millions of searches every single month? Or what about something like advertising on DIY.com or even advertising on Yahoo.com? See, that's where all the opportunity is. That's how you scale and grow your business to generate hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars every single year. It's getting out of that tiny little niche, very specific traffic and scaling big. But the question is, how do you do that? The answer is you can't unless you use what I'm about to show you. And the way I discovered this, and we're going to be talking about this in more detail, I'm going to be showing you some real examples, some real web pages so you can see exactly what I'm doing and what our team is doing, is in the memory improvement market. So like I mentioned, we have a business in the memory improvement space. It's a business that you can go to today. The website is rocketmemory.com, and it's a series of courses that we offer that help people improve their memory. We teach memory techniques, and we teach this to a wide variety of people, everybody from college students who need test-taking tips to people who are looking to enter the ministry and are looking to memorize biblical scripture, to actors who need to memorize the scripts in their the lines in their script, and the list goes on. Well, when we first entered this market, we struggled. And the reason why I later discovered was because all the traffic in this market is centered around keywords like improve memory, how to improve memory, memory improvement. But the problem is when people are searching on that keyword, like how to improve memory, it doesn't give you enough information about who the person searching for that keyword is. So what we found was that you might get someone who ranges from an 18-year-old college kid looking for test-taking tips all the way through a 65-year-old man concerned about mental decline, and everybody in between searching on that keyword, how to improve memory. And the reason why we struggled was because we were trying to speak to everybody searching on that keyword the same way. But the challenge is, how are you successful? How do you be successful if you're doing that? The answer is you can't. And I'm going to show you what the solution is. The second big mistake or problem that I see with the businesses who come to work with me is they don't know why their customers don't buy. Okay? So I'm going to ask you a question, and I want you to stop whatever you're doing, and I want you to jump to the GoToWebinar chat. So I want you to go to the chat, and I'm going to ask you a question. The question is this: what is a generally accepted online sales conversion rate? So in other words, the percent of people who visit your website and the percent of them who visit your website and buy from you. What's an acceptable number of people when we talk about advertising on cold traffic? So we talk about doing this in scale. So if you're doing this to a large number of people, you have 1,000 people who land on your website, what percentage of them should be being converted into customers? And I just want to see what some of the answers are. And I'm just curious to know what people's thoughts are. So let's see. Some of the answers are 2 to 10%. Brian says less than 1%. Kip says 0.05. Jack says 1%. Dave says 2 to 5%. Amy says 1%. Christina says 0.5 to 1. Kurt says 1. Greg says 1 to 2%. Joanne says 1 to 2%. David says 1%. And I can't even keep up. These are really great answers. 2%, 0.5%, 0.07. Bonnie says 2. Sanjeev says 1. Roland, 5 to 10%. Andre says 2. 2%. Excellent. You guys are smart, man. Let me give a round of applause because those numbers are actually dead on. So the generally accepted kind of you're in the ballpark number, like the starting point, is 1%, right? 1% of your traffic should convert into customers. If you're at 1%, you're in the ballpark. You're doing pretty well. You're in the game. If you're doing 2%, then you're doing really well. If you're doing 5%, you are online right now shopping for what island in the Caribbean you are going to buy. And if you are doing 10%, you probably have a space program that you are developing right now and you're putting people in space. The point is, the vast majority of people who land on your website typically do not buy. But what's interesting about this is, what about that other 90%? The 90% of people who land on your website that don't buy, what that means is that's 90% of all the time, all the effort, all the money, all the energy that you spend in generating traffic to your website is a complete waste. It's a waste of everything. And for some reason, we just accept that. Like, we just accept that those numbers are typical and that's okay. And for me, that frustrates me to no end, because the secret to taking your business to the next level is finding a portion of that 90% and monetizing it. And that's what I'm going to show you how to do in just a moment. The third problem that people run into when they work with me is not knowing what else to sell your customers. So I want to ask another question. We're going to hop back over to the chat, keep this fun. And my question is this. If I say the following statement, I'm going to ask you to fill in the blank, and I want you to tell me the first thing that comes to mind. So if I say, the money is in the blank, how would you complete that sentence? The money is in the blank. And I'm going to go to the chat and see what kind of responses we're getting here, what people are typing in. Let's see. Relationship, value, upsells, bank, list, follow through, customer list, says Derek. List, says Donald. Kurt says relationship with you. Tim says money's in the bank. David says money's in the bank. That's all our dream, right? Better than the mattress, right? Bobby says list. Michael says list. Upsell, bank, funnel, bank, list, wallet, list, follow up. Brian says list. David says bank. Bonnie says list. Let's see, list. Customer relationship, follow up, money's in my hand, I like it, relationship, follow up. And Brad is our winner. The money is in the back end. The money's in the back end. You see, so many people online become fixated over the idea of generating that first sale, making money on that first sale with the intent of generating as much profit as possible, okay? Generating as much profit as possible. And the reality is the money is in the back end. Sorry, I was hearing a beeping on my headset. I want to make sure everybody can hear me okay. Now, what that means is the real opportunity is to not sell that first thing to your customer, but it's to sell other stuff. But the biggest challenge I see, or the problem that I see, is that people who are businesses tend not to have any game plan on what else to sell their customers. So how many people have been on a list before, an email list, where it's like you sign up for something and you're getting emails left and right, and it's like people are trying to sell you, it feels like it's random. It's like they're throwing spaghetti up on the wall and whatever sticks, sticks, but there's no rhyme or reason to it. And that's the way most businesses operate, unfortunately. In fact, that's the way some of the most sophisticated businesses in the world operate. And so it's the big opportunity here is to sell something in such a way that it sets up the next sale. That the sale of the first thing that you're selling inspires people to invest in the next thing with you. The question is, how do you figure that out? The answer is you need a process. You need a strategy, and the way you figure this out is by using what I'm about to show you. And by the way, Ian, I just want to let you know that my headset right now is beeping. So if for some reason it turns out that we lose my audio, I'm just going to be dialing right back in using another device. So it's not because I'm going to be disappearing. I'm not sure why this beeping is happening. I think the battery life is fine on my headset, but I just wanted to make sure in case there's some issues. And if you could just do me a favor, Ian, just let me know that you can continue to hear me okay. Okay, great. So the question now is, well, how do you solve these problems? And how does this all relate to your business? Well, the way you solve these problems, once again, is by using this that you see in front of you here, which is the flow chart, the process that we use in market after market to have massive success. And I'm going to break some of this down for you so that you can take some notes and you can take some screenshots. That's my secret little hint. Take some screenshots of what I'm about to show you so you can begin immediately applying this in your business. Like I said, because our time's limited, we're going to focus on 3 of the high leverage areas of this process, and we're going to be going through them one by one. These happen to be the ways that you solve the 3 problems that we talked about and how you take your business to the next level. So let's start with that first problem of traffic being too broad. Now, because this process is something that we call the survey funnel process, it's no surprise that we are going to be talking about 3 specific surveys that serve 3 specific roles in your business. I'm going to be going through some case studies so you can see the type of impact that when you use these the right way, how they impact your business. So the first survey we're going to be talking about is something that I call the micro commitment bucket survey. The micro commitment bucket survey. So let's take a look at what this is, the role it plays, and how it works. So what you see in front of you here is a landing page in that Rocket Memory business that I showed you. Now, when we first launched this business, like I mentioned, we struggled, and we were doing what everybody else in the marketplace was doing. In other words, we were sending people to a page, offering something in exchange for their name and email, and we were doing exactly what everybody else does, which is this. We offered a one-size-fits-all solution. And when we did that and sent people to a form, we struggled. Now, here's a look at the dashboard of our Google AdWords account in this business. What you're looking at here is our cost per lead and our opt-in conversion rate. So in other words, we were paying $12.89 and getting an opt-in rate of 5.15%. So show of hands or in the chat, is this good or is this bad? I'm actually embarrassed to even put this out here. Great. Sorry about that. I had a feeling this headset has literally never died on me, and
lost audio. So you hear me huffing and puffing, rush to another office to get another headset. So we're good to go. So what we're talking about here, I don't know where the audio cut out. Ian, just put a note where exactly the audio cut out, please. The thing we're talking about here is the results that we were getting. We were doing $12.89 per lead, 5% opt-in conversion rate. And anybody who's been around online marketing long enough knows that those numbers are terrible. So I had to go back to the basics and I had to figure out, well, what's going on here? What's going wrong? And I realized there was a huge incongruency, a huge disconnect between the way we were talking to people online versus the way that I would talk to someone in person. See, if someone came to me back when I was on campus and teaching people how to improve their memory, people would come up to me and they would say, hey, Ryan, I hear you help people with this memory thing. Is this something that you can help me with? Well, the absolute last thing in the world that I would do is say, absolutely, and here's my solution. No, what I would do is I would say something like, well, do you mind if I ask you a few questions about your situation and what you're struggling with right now? And then once they give me the okay, I would say, okay, tell me what you're trying to do. Give me a better sense of what you're looking to accomplish. And I would ask questions like, where are you struggling? What are you looking to do? What specifically do you need help with? And then after I asked a series of questions, I wouldn't try to jam a one-size-fits-all solution down their throat. Instead, I would say, okay, based on everything that you've told me, here's what I think you should do in your situation. So when we took that same process that I described right there and transformed our messaging to do exactly what I just said, this is what happened overnight. We went from $12.89 a lead to $4.97 a lead. And we were doing 5% opt-in rate and jumped to 12.5% opt-in rate. So if you're doing the math at home, that means that we dropped our cost per lead by 61% and increased our opt-in rate by 143%. So I knew we were onto something. But the good news is this, it gets better. Because over time, my bucket survey process evolved to include something that I call micro commitments. And micro commitments are basically this. Instead of asking people to answer all that information all at once, we decided to lead people down a path where we'd show them a video, and I'm showing this as an example in another market, that sold people on the idea of answering a few simple questions about their situation. And answering those questions one question at a time, where each question referenced the previous question so I could get deeper and deeper in my understanding around their situation. And then, with that information, offer them a customized solution based on their situation, which then translated into the following. So even after we made that positional change from a one-size-fits-all answer to a customized solution, we had tremendous success. But when we added the micro-commitment component and sent people down multiple paths, we were able to drive our cost per lead from almost $5 a lead down to just over $3 a lead, and our opt-in rate from 12% to 19%. Now, you might look at these numbers and you might say, well, I'm doing 80% opt-in rate. You have to understand these are numbers at scale. So in other words, this is across all sorts of different traffic sources in high volume. In fact, I have some markets, single markets, individual markets in which we are generating upwards of 10,000 leads per day. 10,000 leads per day. How do you do that? How do you generate those type of results in scale? Well, the answer is this is the approach. Now, if you're doing the math at home, what that means is we drove our cost per lead down by 76% and increased our opt-in rate by 271%. So my question to you is this. Imagine that you're spending $1 per lead today. How would you like to wake up tomorrow morning and find out that leads are costing you 24 cents? Or if you're getting a 10% opt-in rate today, that you increase your opt-in rate to 27% tomorrow. The good news is it gets even better. when you solve that second problem that we talked about, which is not knowing why your customers don't buy. Now here, the solution is, surprise, surprise, another survey. This time, the survey is something that has come to be known as the Do You Hate Me survey. Now, the Do You Hate Me survey works like this. The Do You Hate Me survey is a playful survey that's sent out through email. And I say do you hate me as sort of a tongue-in-cheek language. And by the way, if you're taking notes, this is a slide that you're going to want to pay close attention to because I'm going to give you the actual copy to use in your email if you want to send this out to your audience. And the email looks like this. It starts with the subject line, do you hate me? And the reason why we ask that is it's kind of a pattern interrupt. It's shocking. You don't expect it. And it also puts people in a position where they feel like they need to defend themselves. This is an email that we typically will send out after we put the best possible offer in front of somebody. So for example, it's very typical that someone will enter my world in one of the markets that we're in, and we'll try to sell them something. And if they don't buy, we might do something like offer them a $1 trial to try it out and then eventually pay full price. I'm not a fan of ever discounting your products because what that does is it trains your customers to wait. If you offer something at $100 and then 14 days later you say, hey, 50% off, get it for $50, what happens? The next time that you try to sell something, you've trained your customers to say, you know what, I'm not going to buy this now. I'm going to wait and see what kind of discount I can get. But if instead you focus on what I call lowering the buying threshold, so in other words, if you sell a $100 product for people who don't buy, maybe you give them an opportunity to have a 7-day trial for $1, or just pay shipping, or do payment plan so they can get in at a lower threshold. They don't have to spend $100. They can get in for $1 or $5 or $10. So after we do this, we offer that low threshold opportunity to get in, which is oftentimes close to free, maybe even just $1. If they still have not purchased, I'll throw out the Do You Hate Me survey. And the Do You Hate Me survey goes like this. Hey, it's Ryan here, and I need your help real quick. But first, I need to ask you a question. Do you hate me? And again, I'll throw that smiley face in there so they know that I'm just joking. I asked because the other day I gave you the chance to try the XYZ program for free, but for some reason you passed. And that's perfectly fine. But it did strike me as a little bit weird. And it did make me wonder, is it because of me? Was it something that I said, something I didn't say? Or in other words, do you hate me? And I know you can't see it here, but the email goes on to say, if you could do me a favor and tell me what's the #1 reason why you decided not to invest in this program, it would mean the absolute world to me. Just click on the link and tell me what's on your mind, and I look forward to hearing your feedback. Okay, that's the idea. The question is, what type of results does this give you? Well, let's go through a case study. So we sent this out on a recent campaign in one of the markets that we're in, and we sent this out to just under 22,000 people who did not purchase the product we were selling. We got about 7,500 people to open, 35% open rate, 2,000 people to click, just under 10% click-through rate. And we got, of those people, 1,000, roughly 1,000, to answer a survey. Now, in that survey, we asked the question, what was the reason why you decided not to invest in this particular program that we're selling? And the answers were surprising. So one of the things that we realized that we completely did not anticipate is the fact that we were running this promotion over a holiday weekend. And we completely did not appreciate, we underestimated how many people would be away from their computer, how many people would be with family, were unplugged, were not checking their email, to the point that people wrote in and said, you know, listen, I would love to invest in this program, but to be perfectly honest, I just missed the deadline. I was away from my computer, I was with family, and I wish I could take advantage of this. And we also discovered 5 specific things that we did not do a good job of explaining in our sales messaging. And so what we decided to do was this. We said, hey, why don't we run a webinar, a Q&A webinar, where we answer all the most frequently asked questions that people have been telling us in this survey. And because we miscalculated how many people would be away at the holiday, let's open up that same offer for another 48 hours and give people a chance who might have missed out because they were away. So let's take a look at the results. So when we did this, we picked up an additional 445 sales for a total revenue of $19,160. Now, I get that that number means nothing in a vacuum, so let's give you some context around what that actually means. So again, we sent this out to just under 22,000 buyers, non-buyers. 7,500 people clicked, 7,500 people opened, 2,000 people clicked, 1,000 people filled out the survey, and of the 1,000 people, 445 bought, which means if you're doing the math at home, an additional 2% of non-buyers bought. This 2% were people who had previously never spent any sort of money at all with this company. So remember earlier on we were talking about the real way to take your business to the next level is to monetize that additional 90%, the 90% of the traffic to your website that isn't buying anything? Well, the way you do that is by chipping at that number 1% at a time. Now, let me give you a little bit of context for what this means in terms of the overall impact to the business. So the number of buyers that we had before we ran that Do You Hate Me survey was 1,238, which means that 445 additional buyers that we picked up represents an increase of 36%. Who wants to grow their business by 36% simply by asking a silly question in an email? The good news is it gets even better when we solve the third problem, which is not knowing what else to sell your customers. And in this case here, the solution is yet another survey. And this time, it's something we call the pivot survey. Now, the pivot survey is this. After you've run that Do You Hate Me survey and you've opened things up and you've given people an opportunity to get in at that low threshold offer, still a huge percentage of people are not going to buy. I mean, if you do the math, let's go back a screen here. We had 21,669 people that this email went out to, and only 445 of them purchased. So that means that we still had over 21,000 people who didn't buy anything from us. So what do we do with them? What do we do with those people? Well, that's where the pivot survey comes in. And the pivot survey is basically this. After you've put together that offer and people still haven't purchased, you send another email. And you take the data from the Do You Hate Me survey as to the reasons why people didn't buy. And what you'll find from some of that data is that the offer you put out was just not a good fit. It just wasn't right for them for whatever reason. And so what you do is you aggregate and analyze that data, and you take that data and do what I'm about to show you. The way you do it is this. You send out an email, and the email gives people an option of where they want to go next. Remember those Choose Your Own Adventure books from when we were kids, when you would flip to page 47 and it would say, okay, you've got three options. You can try to cross the river and climb up the mountain. You can take the raft that's sitting there at the river and float down the river. Or you can turn around and walk back to where you started. Flip to page 3, 17, or 165. Remember those books? That's essentially what we're doing here with the pivot survey. And the pivot survey, again, this is one that you're going to want to write down. You want to take some notes on. You might want to take a screenshot for the copy on this, is as follows. So this is an example. So listen, I'm like the brain surgeon who comes in, does his one piece, saves the guy's life, and then moves on to the next one. There may be 3 people in the world who could do it, and I'm one of them. So the big question is this. What would you like me to talk about next? How to get more clients, how to raise your rates, or how to productize your services? And what you do is, using the click behavior of the way someone responds to this email, is you send them to the next funnel in your business. And the beautiful thing is, you can string these together one right after another, starting with micro commitment bucket survey, ending with pivot survey. And we'll get to that in just a second. I'll explain how to do that. But first, the question is, well, what's the result? Well, the result is this. Again, initially we had 1,238 buyers, 445 Do You Hate Me buyers that we picked up for a total of 1,683 buyers. Now, when we ran the pivot survey, we picked up an additional 217 buyers broken down into the following 3 paths. Now, by the way, the example that I gave you in the previous slide is from another market. I'm just piecing this together so you can see this being applied in different markets. So we picked up an additional 217 buyers. So if you're doing the math at home, initially we did $52,858 in revenue on the initial set of buyers. The Do You Hate Me sequence picked up an additional $19,000 in revenue. And then when we added the pivot sequence on top of that, we added an additional $8,000 in revenue for a total of $27,000 in incremental revenue that we would not have generated had we not sent those 2 surveys out. So in other words, if you're doing the math at home, that means that we increased our revenue by 51.91% simply by asking those 2 questions. It's all about asking. Now, if you're asking yourself, well, what kind of impact does that mean? Well, think about it like this. What that means is if you did $100,000 in your business last year, that would be like doing $150,000 this year. If you did $200,000 in your business last year, that would be like doing $300,000 in your business this year. And if you had done $2 million in your business last year, that would be like doing $3 million in your business this year. That's what a 50% increase in your business means. Now, by the way, that doesn't even include the pivot survey to buyers. Again, this was just sent out to the people who didn't buy. This doesn't even include the pivot survey to buyers, so people who bought the product at the beginning, which is where the real money is. So like I said, this is simple, right? Simple gets results. 3 million leads, 200,000 customers, 23 different markets, $100 million in revenue, simply by combining those 3 techniques, the micro commitment bucket survey, the do you hate me survey, and the prospect pivot survey, which on our flowchart are represented 1, 2, 3. Now, if you're like most people, the question you might be asking yourself is, well, what about all that stuff in between? Because you might be wondering things like, well, how do you get people to take your survey in the first place? How do you inspire people and motivate them to even go through that micro commitment bucket survey? And I'll give you a hint. You're not calling it a survey. It's all about appealing to your prospect's self-interest. Now, what about how do you figure out how many questions to ask in that survey, or what buckets to put people into? And what about what happens after they take the survey? What does that same visit sale message look like? How are you selling what it is that you're selling? And what about the profit maximization sequence? So after they buy that first thing for you, what structure do you use to sell more things one right after another? Remember, like we said, the money's in the what? The money's in the back end. And there are 3 specific structures that you can use to do that. And then what about when people enter onto your email list? So people who don't purchase right away, what emails do you send? And the reason why the Do You Hate Me survey and the Pivot survey work so well isn't because they're in a vacuum. It's because of all the lead up that leads to them. So what you see in front of you here is, like I mentioned, something that's come to be known as the survey funnel formula. And what I want to do now is I want to walk you through how you apply the survey funnel formula in your business. If you are following the same model that I follow, it's a 6-week process to implement one of these funnels in your business. And I want to walk you through how my team and I implement this in week after week so you can map out how you can do this in your business. Now, in the first week, we do something called the deep dive pre-survey. This is a process that you go through to gather the open-ended survey responses from your audience and do your deep dive research. This is the reason why the process that we go through is so successful. This is what builds the foundation and sets up everything else. This is what takes all the guesswork out of everything that you're doing. This is where you gather the actual language to use in your marketing. This is where you gather the objections, the hot buttons. This is where you figure out what buckets or segments exist in your market. This is where you figure out which ones are worth focusing on and which ones are worth ignoring. It all starts with what I describe as the deep dive pre-survey. From there, you go through what I describe, building out your micro commitment bucket survey. That's that survey that I showed you where you're getting people to answer one question at a time, and then using that data to filter people and sort them into one of several directions. Then after that, you build up what I describe as the prospect discovery landing page and video. This is the page that people land on your website that tees up the survey. This is the thing that gets people motivated and excited to fill it out. And again, you do not call it a survey. In fact, your prospects, your website visitors don't even realize they're taking a survey. It's not positioned as a survey. Then in week 4 is where I build out what I describe as my same visit sale video sales letter. This is what people see after they go through your survey. This is where you sell them the thing that you intend on selling them based on how they answer the survey. And the key here is customizing certain parts of this so that it's unique depending on how someone answers the survey and keeping much of it consistent across what you sell. Then in week 5 is where I build out the profit maximization sequence. Again, the money's in the back end. This is where you sell your customers additional items that are a fit based on how they answer that survey after they buy the first thing. And then in week 6 is where I build out, my team and I build out the prospect and customer autoresponder email sequences, leading all the way to that pivot email that we described. Now, last year was the first year that I began teaching this methodology. And the reason why I teach it is I was in a mastermind, a group of business owners, a number of high-level business owners, and in that group, I raised a dilemma. And the dilemma was this. The dilemma was, listen, my company has expanded massively because companies left and right are coming to us saying, can you build this for us? Can you build one of these for us? And I needed a way to train up my team members very quickly. So I raised this idea to this mastermind, and I said, my idea is this. My idea is I want to bring a bunch of people into my team, and I want to walk through me personally building out one of my sales funnels from start to finish, actually walking through the entire 6-week process that I go through, showing them how to set up each step, leaving no stone unturned, answering all questions, explaining my thought process, explaining the psychological triggers that are involved at every single step, explaining the reason why I'm choosing specific copy, walking through the process of doing these surveys step by step, and giving them the opportunity to ask as many questions as they want till the process is so clear that they can replicate this themselves. And unequivocally in the group, basically everyone in the room says, Ryan, I think that's a brilliant idea. And then someone did something that I will never forget. Someone in the back of the room raised their hand and said, you know, Ryan, I would love to be part of that training as well. Is there any way that you would consider opening up the closed doors in your company, letting me sit in and seeing how you do things? Because I would love to implement this in my business. And around the room, people started nodding their head and saying, yes, that sounds great. I'd love to do this. And up until that point, it wasn't something that I ever even considered doing, because this is my secret sauce. This is my company's secret family recipe. This is the Coca-Cola recipe right here. This is how we've generated that $100 million in revenue in market after market and had all that success. But I decided to do it as a little experiment. And I let a handful of people in to sit in this training with my team inside my own internal company training portal. And I gave them the opportunity to ask questions. And the results were overwhelming. People were blown away with what they had seen. It was like they peered back the curtain, and it was like opening up a computer for the first time and seeing how it actually works. And people, as you'll see in a moment, are now using this in their own business. And I'm going to show you some of those success stories and what people are doing, because I think it's pretty exciting. But there was one hole. There was one thing that they said, Ryan, I recognize one of the reasons why you're so successful and your process is so good is because the copy that you use, the languaging that you use is brilliant. What do you do if you haven't studied language and copywriting to the degree that you have? So what I want to do for you today is I want to give you the same opportunity that I gave for the people who went through that training the first time and the thousands of people who have gone through that training since. And what I'm going to do is this. When you work with me in getting access to the online recorded training, walking you through how to complete this entire process in your business, I want to give you a gift. I want to give you a gift, a course that I created several years ago called VSL Fast Track, which is a course on how to write landing page, same visit sale, upsell video sales letters, even if you're not yet a world-class copywriter. Now, I need to say something about this program. This is something that we sold hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of copies at $500 a piece. It's a program that I created with a marketer that some people will be familiar with. His name is John Benson. John Benson is largely regarded as one of, if not the godfather of video sales letters. And he and I created this course together in a partnership arrangement. After we had tremendous success with this, John approached me and said, Ryan, I have a plan. I think this information is so valuable that I want to sell this course at a different course at a much higher price point. I want to sell this information for anywhere from $2,000 to $3,000, but I have a problem. If I'm to do that, we have to take our VSL Fast Track course off the market. And it hurt me. It was painful because it was so successful. It was helping so many people. And eventually we came to an agreement. We came to the agreement that I would never be able to sell this course again. We took it off the market. But I could give it as a gift for anybody who invested in my program that teaches my methodology, which is the ASK formula or the survey funnel formula that we've been talking about today. So what that means is this. This is a program that you are about to get access to for free when you move forward. And just to give you a sense for the type of results that this program alone is having in people's businesses, this is one of our students, Jonathan, who said, so I jumped into the VSL course and was able to create a funnel that's converting 250% better than my old video. And that's just with this one bonus program that you are going to be getting access to. So the big question is this. Okay, so what is this training program going to cost? Now, when I've put people through this before, their reaction has been, Ryan, I cannot believe that you are even giving this away. And really, this is something that should be sold for anywhere from $2,000 to $5,000. It is that good. It has that much information. It is that step-by-step, and it'll have that type of impact in my business. I can immediately see that. But here's the thing. I have a different philosophy in life. My philosophy is I want to impact as many businesses as possible. I have this vision, and the vision is that every homepage in the world should have a survey funnel. It is a universally applicable strategy that any business in any market can use. And by the way, I want to take some time in a moment to answer some questions because I noticed there's some questions that have come through. So if you have questions, you can begin putting them in the chat, and Ian is going to be organizing those questions and arranging them so I can answer them one by one. But I have this vision. I don't want to make this course available for $2,000. I don't even want to sell it for $1,000, at least right now. I want to get this course in as many people's hands as possible. So when you decide to move forward today and take advantage of this special opportunity, you can get access to everything that we just described, the entire 6-week process for building out one of these funnels, the entire step-by-step training that's recorded that shows you exactly what to do each step of the way, leaving no stone unturned, plus this VSL Fast Track course which sold for $500, all for just one payment today of $197. And you can do it by visiting the URL surveyfunnelformula.com/ask, A-S-K. And the reason why I'm doing this is I want to make this available for people who have raised their hand and have made the decision, they were decisive to invest the time to get access to our book, which underlies the theory and psychological reasoning behind why this process works so well. So Ian, I'm just going to ask you to put the link in the chat, surveyfunnelformula.com/ASK/ask. And if you would just do me a favor, would someone just click on that link or visit the URL just to let me know that it's going to the right place, make sure it's working. I've made mistakes in the past. And Ian, can you just put in the chat if it's working? Someone just let me know that I did not make a mistake when typing it in. If I had 2 technical glitches, awesome. Link works, okay. Excellent, excellent. Now, I want to mention a few things, and then we're going to get to some questions because I know people are wondering, is this going to work for your business? And we're going to talk a little bit about that. And I also want to show you some of the results that people are getting in their businesses using this exact methodology. So before we do that, I want to take a moment to answer something, and that's this. I recognize that we've only had a little bit of time together, a little over an hour, and at this point, you may not know if this is right for you, and I get that. You may not know me. This may be the first time that you've been exposed to this methodology, that you've heard me speak, that you've gotten into our world. So here's what I want to do. I don't want to make you have to decide if this is something that you can use in your business. So instead, what I want to do is I want to give you an opportunity to go through the first 4 weeks of this course before you even have to decide if you want to keep it. No questions asked, no hoops to jump through. And the way this works is with an unconditional 30-day, 100% money-back guarantee, which means you can check everything out. You can go through the first 4 weeks of the course. You can download everything to your hard drive. You can follow along with me in real time. You can try out all the steps. You can try out all the techniques, all the methodology. See how it works for you before you even have to decide if you want to keep that, okay? And the reason why I want to do this is because I want anybody who's considering, is this something that might work for me? I want to give anybody who might be curious to get into a little bit more detail and see how this works, the opportunity to try this out and do this today, right now, today. Now, before we go any further, you're probably wondering, how is this working for people? So let's go through some examples of other students who are using this in their business right now. So Will says, this is the best and most comprehensive use of the survey and segmenting technique that I've ever seen to date. Darren says, I use the layering technique he mentioned, and now I'm getting a 53% opt-in rate from Facebook traffic after they self-qualify through a 3-question survey. Next screen. Ron says, I worked with Ryan, and to date, the project that we've done together has resulted in well over $500,000 in revenue. And you look at Antonio, who says, one client has generated over 700 leads, which has turned in over 6 figures of coaching clients using this methodology. Darren says, our survey funnel formula is, I'm going to just paraphrase, is half-assed at this point, yet still producing a 40% lift in the total monthly revenue year over year as to what he was doing last year. And then you've got Brandon, who says, by building a survey funnel and following Ryan's model, I was able to go from a 70% ROI losing money to a 150% ROI making money. And for anybody who's considering doing this for clients, Corey says, since buying Ryan's course, I landed a cold traffic funnel client for $20,000 and 10% of funnel earnings and a percent of media spend. And lastly, we have Sean, who says, simply following the formula and pathways Ryan has laid out in the program, I secured an $84,000 contract from a client to do this in January of 2015. And for anybody who's involved in the online marketing space, if you listen to Ryan Deiss says, if paid traffic is what you're after, then you're wise to study Ryan Levesque. His stuff is built for scale. In fact, Ryan is just one of many customers and clients that work with us, and you can see a list of them on our website, everybody from Ryan Deiss to Perry Marshall to Brian Kurtz to Keith Baxter, Andre Chaperone, Ben Settle, Jack Bourne, Harlan Kilstein, Danny Inney, Kurt Malley, Keith Krantz, who co-wrote the Entrepreneur Guide to Facebook Advertising with Perry Marshall, Kevin Rogers, who is John Carlton, the copywriting legend's #1 disciple, Michael Lovitch and Buck Risby, who run a large 8-figure supplement company, Steve Gray, Erica Rocha, who is the #1 online marketer in the company of Brazil in the Portuguese worldwide market, Marisa Murgatroyd, who runs the Superhero Online Summits, Charles Kirkland, Greg Wells, Todd Brown, Russell Brunson, who runs ClickFunnels, Dagan Smith, Jonathan Mizell, Derek Johansson, and the list goes on. People like Ryan Lee, and the list goes on to people who are not even on there. And if you spend some time on our website, you'll see some of our clients ranging from everybody from Revolution Golf to Dish Network affiliates to Agora Financial, which is a 9-figure direct response company, companies that are in the Inc. 500. The list goes on and on. And remember, the program that you're about to get access to for just one payment of $197 is the same information that people are paying as much as $5,000 a month just to get on the phone with me for a few minutes every single week to get access to. The same program that has been booked for over 18 months with a wait list of over 100 people. This is the same methodology that people have used to triple their profit this year. Same methodology that you see here. Survey funnel strategy alone has increased front-end conversion by 100%. Increased sales by $15,000 per week. And by the way, these are all audio testimonials of people who have said in their own words the results they've gotten using the methodology that you are about to get your hands on for just $197. And if you spend time on our website, there are literally over 100 audio testimonials from customers and clients in their own words saying the type of results that they've gotten. Now we're going to get to Q&A, and I want to fulfill my promise that I made at the beginning of this video, but in the beginning of this training. But one last thing. Just to sum things up, everything that you get is as follows. You get entire 6-week recorded training program that was done live, where we go through the entire 6-week process of creating one of these funnels for your business in 6 easy weeks, plus the VSL, Video Sales Letter Fast Track bonus valued at $500 for just one payment today of $197 only when you visit this special link here. In fact, if you go to surveyfunnelformula.com, you're going to find that the course is not available to the general public. I have only opened this up to people who have raised their hand and said that they are interested in this methodology. It is a special opportunity. Now, I want to answer one question, and I'm going to get to all the questions that have come through in the chat, and I want to fulfill on that promise I made at the beginning of the video. And the question is this. If you have not asked yourself yet, you should be wondering, okay, Ryan, what gives? If you are making all the millions of dollars that you say you're making in market after market, and you're getting all these results, why are you giving away your secret family recipe for what amounts to next to nothing? Well, the answer is this. There are two reasons, and I'm going to be perfectly upfront. The first reason is this. Whenever I've done this in the past, I know that there are always a small percentage of businesses who will go through the training and will say, Ryan, this is absolutely brilliant, but is there any way that I can just pay you and your team to do the whole thing for us? Larger companies that might have more money than time typically fall in this situation. And for every 100 people who invest in this training, if 1 or 2 ask my company to do it for them, that becomes a much bigger sale. And so we have an agency that does this very thing, an agency that implements these funnels for businesses. So that's the first reason. The second reason is this. Right now, we have a vibrant online community. It's a paid community of business owners around the world who are successfully implementing this strategy in their business. And my goal, I have a number, we want to grow that community to be as large as possible. Now, by investing in this training today, you will have the opportunity to become part of that community. It is only open at this time to people who have gone through this training, and the reason why is we want people who are educated and informed so we can have intelligent conversations in the group. Right now, the group is between 500 and 600 people large as we say this and growing at a very fast clip. And these are people who are implementing this in their business. And the reason why this community is so exciting is it's an online Facebook group, a paid group where people are sharing the results. They're sharing what is working. They're showing their websites. They're saying, these are the results that I'm getting. This is working. This is not working. What can you help me with feedback? And my goal is to get as many people into this program as possible. And after you invest in this training, you will have an opportunity to get into that community. Now, one of the questions that came up is, what software do you use to do this? Well, it's a great question. The question is, what software? Now, this is one of the things that we cover in depth in the training. Now, just to give you a sense for what the training covers, originally I anticipated I was doing maybe 1 hour of training per module, but it ended up being much more than that. I ended up going into a lot more detail. So the first time that we did this training, I did, on average, anywhere from 2 to 2.5 hours of training for each weekly module. And then people said, listen, this is great. I love it. Now, me being the survey guy, I surveyed the first few hundred people that went through the training and said, well, what did you like about it? What didn't you like? What question did you have? Well, some of the feedback that we got was, Ryan, this is absolutely brilliant, but is there any way that you could break the training into shorter videos so we can just get in, do one little thing, and then get out? So that's exactly what we did. We broke the training down into short 3 to 5 minute segments so that you can get in, implement this one thing, and move on. Now, we had other people who said, Ryan, the videos are great, but is there any way that you could break everything down into step-by-step checklists? I'm more of a checklist person. I like to just see, what do I do first, what do I do second, what do I do third, and that's exactly what we did. We took all the videos and put it into a series of checklists and broke everything down step by step. And then people said, Ryan, the checklists are great, but there's some things that you do when you go through some of the examples and you're showing all these case studies and all the ways that you use this, where you go into reciting copy. And the copy is really good. It's something that I could probably, with a few tweaks, use exactly as it comes out of your mouth in my business. Is there any way that you could transcribe some of those copy sections so I can just copy and use it as inspiration for my business? So that's exactly what we did. And then we took all the questions that came through for things that we didn't answer the first time around, and we did supplemental bonus training to incorporate this to answer all those questions so that there was no question unturned. And I'll tell you this, after you've had a few thousand people who have gone through any sort of training program, then you know what questions come up, and we've answered every single one. I'll say this, we've answered 99.9% of any questions that might come through, because it's always possible that someone might have another question. So that answers a question around what is included in the program. So biggest question that people are asking is software. So how do you implement this technically? Well, you've got a couple options, and in the course I walk you through those options. I go through some paid options, how to do something like a survey gizmo. I talk about how to use free options, something like a Google Docs or Google Form, Google Drive. Now, what I recommend for people, we actually have our own proprietary software that does exactly what you just saw. So this is the software that we use in our client implementations to put people through these questions, customize the follow-up messages from those responses, and this software does the survey and ties in to whatever email service you use currentently. So this software that does the survey will add people to a custom form or custom autoresponder in Aweber, in Infusionsoft, in Office Autopilot, in Maripost, in ActiveCampaign, in Constant Contact, in MailChimp, in whatever email service provider you're using now. This software is email agnostic. It's also the software that captures the data and pumps that data into your email follow-up system. So if you want to capture if someone's a man or a woman, if you want to capture what their age is, if you want to capture if the reason why they're having trouble with their memory is because they're an overwhelmed student or they are a senior struggling with mental decline, it pushes all that data into your email follow-up system and stores it as custom fields so that you can later use that in your email follow-ups. The software does it all. Now, how do you get access to the software? When you become part of our online community, you get access to the software for free. How much is the online community? After you invest in the Survey Funnel Formula course, you will not be asked to spend another penny today. In fact, there are no paid upsells after this. So you will spend the money that you see here on this screen, and after that, you will have an opportunity to raise your hand after you invest in this training and say, Ryan, I might be interested in joining your community, but I'm not going to ask for a penny more of your money today. Instead, what I'm going to ask you to do is go through the training first, decide if it's right for you, and if you want to become part of the community, and you say, yes, I might be interested, immediately after you invest in this training today, I'm going to give you an opportunity to get into the community and get the software for free at a massive discount off the regular price. The community is normally $200 per month, and the software standalone is another $200 per month. But when you sign up immediately after you invest in this training, you get both the community and the software for just $97 a month. It is an amazing deal, but it is only offered immediately after you invest in the training, and it's only offered once. And the reason why is I like to work with people who are decisive, and I'm rewarding people with, call it a scholarship, for taking action towards your business and investing in yourself today. So, how can you, questions that are coming through. Let me go through some of these in order one by one. And if you could just pause, Ian, on submitting the questions so it doesn't scroll on me, I would much appreciate this. Okay, I'm an artist selling paintings and drawings. How does this apply to me? This is a great question. We have people that sell handmade leather journals that are practically works of art. People come into this business's world, as just one example, and there's an overwhelming number of choices. So if someone comes into your world and says, listen, I love your paintings, where do I start? Well, this is perfect. The way I answer this question is this: is a survey funnel right for your business? So you might want to write this down. A survey funnel is something you might consider for your business if you fall into one of the two following categories. First category is this: if you sell one thing, one primary product, but you have a number of different sub-markets that you might sell this to. So in other words, if you sell a fitness solution, but the people who come to you are both men and women, those represent two very distinct groups. Or if you sell a weight loss program to women, and some women are women who just had a baby who are looking to lose baby weight, and other women are women who are maybe are around menopause and they're having changes in their body resulting in weight gain. Okay? So those would be two distinct groups of people that should be spoken to differently, and a survey funnel is perfect to distinguish between those two groups and speak to them differently, perhaps even sell them different products. The second type of category is if you sell many things in your business and it's not quite clear what's the best thing someone should buy from you first. So this might fall in the category that we're describing right now. So if you have a number of different products that you sell, someone comes to your business and says, what should I start with? Well, a survey funnel is a great way to ask them a series of questions, and in the training I talk you through and walk you through and teach you what questions you should be asking to ferret out and figure out what are the questions you want to ask to put people into the best possible recommended product. Is this painting right for you? Is that painting right for you? Is this skincare product right for you? Or is that skincare product right for you? Is this training program right for you? Or is that one? Is this consulting service right for you? Or that consulting service? So those are the two broad categories that are a good fit. Let's go through. Yeah, so the methodology is great. How do you do this if you're selling a service, a non-tangible product? So services work great. So the question is, if you have one thing that you sell, this is all about tailoring your marketing message to the appropriate person. So let me give you an example. Let's pretend, for example, that I don't sell a memory product, a course, but I just help people with their memory. I might have a website that says, tell me a little bit more about what you're struggling with right now, and that'll help guide our conversation. If someone answers that survey and says, oh, I'm really struggling with stuff related to school, I need some test-taking tips, well, that's going to tell me how I need to speak to that person. And the way I might sell to them, the way I might market to them, will be talking about, here's how this can really improve your grades. How would you love to not have to spend hours in the library and be the last one to close down the library where all your friends are out having fun and you're just stuck with your nose in a book? How would you like to cut your study time down in like 1/10 of what you're doing now, and not only that, but retain stuff after you take your test? Well, we have a program that shows you how to do that, okay? So that might be how I would speak to someone who says, I'm struggling with with school. Someone who's a 65-year-old man concerned about mental decline, again, if I'm not selling a product but I'm just helping them, I'll speak to them very differently. I'm going to talk about, how would you like to feel smart? I mean, you should be at the best years of your life right now. You shouldn't feel like things are slipping. You should feel like things are improving. How would you like to feel all that knowledge that you've acquired over your lifetime, all that wisdom? How would you like to be able to pull from it at will? How would you like to be able to have a conversation with your son, with your grandson, and be able to impart an important message in his life because you have this plethora of knowledge, all these stories and I can show you how to tap in to all those stories using these specific memory techniques that we teach. So I might be selling the same thing, but I'm speaking about it two different ways. And it's all predicated on knowing just a little bit more about my prospect than what's your name and what's your email address. Name and email address tells you nothing about how to speak to them. But when you ask these questions, are you a man or a woman? What's your age? What are you struggling with? When you ask those types of questions, as you'll see in the training, it shows you exactly how to speak to people. So what are the best deep dive survey questions and how many do you include? And there's an entire module on that in the training program itself. It's more than we have time to cover right now. It's a great question. They're open-ended questions, and it really depends on your situation. Are you limiting the $197 formula? And the answer is yes. The last day to take advantage of this is this Sunday, so just a few short days from today, this Sunday at 11:59 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And the reason for this is simple. The reason is I haven't decided how long we want to make the program available at this price. Again, I have a lot of pressure from people who are saying, listen, Ryan, this is a $2,000 course. This is a $10,000 seminar that you should be running. $200, you're crazy to give it away like this. And so I honestly haven't decided if we're ever going to make this available again at this price. But I want to reward people who take action here today. And here's the thing. Anybody who gets in now, so I know there have been a bunch of people who have been messaging me saying, I'm in, I got it, I'm super excited, which is awesome and really, really smart move. the thing I want to mention is this. If at any point when I close this down, anybody who gets in will be grandfathered in. So in other words, if you see this course available tomorrow or next week for $2,000, I'm not going to take this away from you. I'm not going to make you pay more. You're going to have access. And when everybody else is paying those types of numbers, then you're going to feel really good. The other thing is this. I haven't decided how long I want to keep my secret family recipe available to the public. My business, the way we generated all the results was by implementing this in market after market. And as soon as I start to see people compete against us in the markets that we're in, and it takes away from the revenue that we're generating, I'm not going to be teaching this anymore. For now, that hasn't happened. So there's that. The third thing is this. There's a first mover advantage opportunity here. And I know some smart people, some savvy people on the call have already recognized this quietly. If you are the first person to apply this in your market, there is a tremendous opportunity. At the same time, it creates what some marketers like to call a moat around your business. You're building a wall around your business that protects you and insulates you from competition. And that's evidenced by the fact that I have funnels, sales funnels online that we've been running consistently since 2008. That's going on 7 years, over 7 years. So in other words, how would you like to have something that you build once, put it online, and produces passive income for you, for your family, for 4, 5, 6, 7 years plus? I don't know where the end is. So it's been there since the beginning. So it's one of these things that there's a first mover advantage, but it's also not one of these things that's going to disappear tomorrow, meaning you can build your business on a solid foundation and know that it's going to be there for years to come. But to answer the question on the limit, yes, this Sunday at 11:59 is the strict deadline to take advantage of this. How do you get access to the course? It's a great question. The way the course is delivered is you get to follow along with me in building out a funnel 1 week at a time. So we go through an individual module in depth every single week. So the content is dripped 1 week at a time. And I know some people say, Ryan, I want to move ahead. I want to jump ahead faster. If you want to jump ahead after you invest in the program, and only after, what you do is you send your receipt to my assistant, and her name is Kimberly, contact at RL Associates LLC. Ian, I'm going to ask that you put that email in the chat. Her name is Kimberly. She's a sweet woman, just had a baby a few months ago, absolutely has a heart of gold, and she'll take really good care of you. You email Kimberly and you send her a copy of your receipt and you say, I'd like to upgrade and get access to the entire program at once. It's something that we will do in select cases, and she'll explain exactly how to do that. Otherwise, you get access to the program 1 week at a time, and the reason for that is simple. I don't want to overwhelm you with too much stuff at once. I know that if I were to give you an entire Encyclopedia Britannica to read, you're not going to read the whole thing. But if I give you bite-sized chunks, you will. And so it's designed that you can follow along with me in real time if you'd like, okay? At the same time, if this is something that you're saying, well, I don't know if I'm going to be able to implement this in my business for another 6 months, I highly recommend that you take advantage of this now. Because I will say this, in 6 months, there's a real good chance that this course will not be available, okay? Even in 3 months, even in 3 weeks. I just don't know. So if this is something that you're considering possibly implementing in your business just a few weeks from now, a few months from now, I highly recommend that you jump in and take action like Kathy and let's see, Sandra and one of our Davids and Alex, and let's see, all the people who are, let's see, Jack, Richard, Joseph, let's see, Brenda, awesome. So many people are taking action, which I absolutely, absolutely love. Okay, so let me go back through some of the questions. Okay. Okay. Go through some of these. Wondering what software allows you to serve pages based on answers. That's exactly the same software we talked about. It's a software that you get access to when you become a member of our paid community. Do you know anybody who's using this for their supplement business? I'm using this for several supplement businesses quite successfully. So the answer is absolutely yes. How much money do you need to invest additionally? Well, the course is available for $197, and if you act now, you can get into the community where you can see other people implementing this in their business, as well as get access to the software for just $97 per month. And it's the type of thing, when you think about it, if you just generate 2 sales, if you're selling a $50 product, from the knowledge that you gain from the mastermind community, from the software, it's more than worth it. And by the way, the mastermind community, we have weekly training webinars. We have monthly mastermind calls. Like this Friday, I'm going to be doing a call where I'm going to be revealing the top 10 business lessons that I learned last year. This is stuff that is pure gold. We bring guest experts on that teach traffic, how to generate Facebook traffic to a survey funnel, how to generate AdWords traffic, how to generate YouTube traffic to a survey funnel, how to generate PPV traffic. We have an entire faculty of guest experts that train, and the moment that you get into the community, you get access to everything, plus access to high-level marketers. People say it's one of the most engaged, involved communities that they've ever been a part of, and the best part is that people are giving. We fostered a community, hopefully like you've recognized today, where I'm all about just giving and sharing as much as possible, and we have a community of marketers and business owners who are doing the same thing. People will share their entire sales process and walk it out in detail and give all this feedback to if you post something about your business. It's such an amazing community, and I'm so proud of it. Let's go through some additional questions. Yeah, if you try this for all the SurveyMonkey, someone says, I've tried to do this with a series of questions using SurveyMonkey and couldn't figure it out. You will not be able to do this with SurveyMonkey. You need to use our software in order to do that. It's the reason why we created the software, invested hundreds of thousands of dollars in creating it, is simply put, there's nothing else in the market that does this. This is what we do all day, every day. This is what we train people to do, what we coach people to do. This is what my team and I do in our agency. You have to understand, this is our core expertise. All we do is build survey funnels all day, every day. We have this down, and the software that you will get access to is the same software that we use to generate as much as 10,000 leads per day in markets, and you've seen some of the other numbers. Let's see. Okay, let's see. They all have large existing online businesses. How does this work to start out from zero? That's the person who asked this question probably didn't see the entire presentation. We've gone through some examples here where people starting from scratch. Like for example, here is a let's see. Here's an example of someone starting from scratch. I'm not gonna pull it up. You can watch the replay. We're basically, let's see if I can do this. Okay, 1 second here. We'll go through an example. Someone, if you missed the beginning of the presentation, let's see. Okay, so here's an example that you see here of a business where we started from nothing, January of 2014, and we've taken this to the 6-figure level in 12 months using this exact process. You can see here, this is how I built my first business in 2008, from nothing to $25,000 per month using this exact process. And you're right, this works for large established businesses as well. $126,000 last year, and in 1 month in 2015, we're already on pace to triple that from what we did last year, and generating upwards of $9, $10 million plus in individual funnels using this exact methodology. So this works for startups, this works for small businesses, and this works for large businesses as well. So there really is any traffic source and any business size that this works for. I'm going to go back to this slide here. Let's see here. Swap screens. Good. All right. Let's see. Okay. Okay. How many customers do you need to start before the sales funnel strategy can have effect? It can start immediately. It starts immediately. Why would this only be for paid traffic? Someone misinterpreted the paid traffic comment from Ryan Dice. This works beautifully for paid traffic. Let me give you a rundown of all the traffic sources that we're running to these funnels so you can ask yourself, is this something that works for your business? So we run Facebook traffic, LinkedIn traffic, AdWords traffic, Google Display Network, as well as Google Search. We run SEO traffic. We run Pinterest traffic. We run Instagram traffic. We run Twitter traffic. We run banner advertising, so banner ads that you've seen across a number of different networks. We run something called pay-per-view traffic, so PPV or CPV traffic. We run email traffic, so if you just send email traffic to a page, we run email traffic. We run paid email traffic. We run organic Facebook traffic in addition to Facebook ads. So if you have a Facebook page and you're sending traffic to a web page, we run all those traffic sources in and more. So this is certainly not just for paid traffic. This is for all traffic sources. The reason why we bring up paid traffic is typically that's the most challenging to make work. And this just goes to show you that on the most challenging types of traffic that this works. Let's see, what does this have that your book doesn't? This has real examples. So when you open up and read a book, you're going to be reading pages on words on a page. What this has is videos showing you live examples that are up to the minute in what we're actually doing right now. The book is timeless. The book walks you through the principles for how to apply this. This takes it to the next step-by-step level. You will read the book and you will understand the why and how. This walks you through the nitty-gritty step-by-step details on how to cover everything, including the exact languaging to use in your sales copy, the exact copy to use in your emails, doing the survey analysis and walking you through the formulas and all the detailed methodology. So it goes tremendous amount of more detail. How can someone work for your agency to help companies implement this? The answer is become part of our paid community. Show what you're doing and show us how you are implementing this. And we're looking for tons of good people. We want people who have successfully implemented this in their business, and we're certainly hiring. So join our paid Facebook community. That's the best way to get on our radar screen and be part of what we're doing. Besides survey software and autoresponders, are there any other software requirements? The only thing is a mechanism to accept payment. So you either need a shopping cart or a PayPal account or Stripe or some way to accept payment if you're accepting payment online. Otherwise, that is it. Okay, let's see. What happens if I don't have a list yet or any product? Will this still help me? The answer is yes. There are many ways that you can generate your initial deep dive survey results. The two ways are to work with a partner, and I show you how to do this, to run a survey to their list, and you can pay a few $100s oftentimes to get somebody else to run a survey to their email list with tens if not hundreds of thousands of people, analyze the data from there, use that data to create your product, create your funnel, and share the profits. That's one method. Another method is I show you how to build a new site from scratch where you send traffic to that site for the first time and use that to build your list and to generate your survey responses. Let's see. How can you integrate these surveys with autoresponders such as Infusionsoft? That's the software that allows you to do this. I can't write well on email. Can I outsource it using this formula? Yes, I walk you through exactly how to. You can have someone on your team go through the video sales letter and the copywriting portions of the program, and you can have them write the copy for you. So it's really as simple as that. Ian, are there any other questions that have come through? You can put them in the chat now, and I'll make it a point to answer them one by one. Let's see. Is the flowchart in the book? That's a great question. We have a copy of the flowchart in the book. The challenge is the book is not, you can't blow up the book, meaning that if you want to get the high resolution, the full picture without having it in the physical book form, for example, if you want to save it as an image on your desktop, or if you want to print it up and blow it up, or just have a digital version of it, then you might want to get access to the flowchart, which reminds me I want to fulfill on that promise, which is where to get that free flowchart. We had a bunch of people who said yes, so let's do this. In the time that we've been doing this online training class, we put together a way to get access to the flowchart, I believe, and I think if you go to surveyfunnelformula.com/free, then you will surveyfunnelformula.com/free, enter your name and email, and we'll email you a copy of the flowchart, a high-resolution version that you can blow up and everything like that. And it's not going to cost you anything at all. Ian, I just want to make a note before we wrap up. I want to make sure that you copy all the questions from the chat, please, and make sure that we have them in a document so we can capture all of these great questions. Do we need a separate VSL creation program? The answer is no. You do not need any program to create a VSL. You can do that through a free screen capture program. You can record your screen. There's no fancy equipment or program or anything like that required, and you don't even need to use fancy software for that. Someone asked, where can I buy your book? The book is coming out in March. One of the reasons why we've done this training program now is this online classes. People have been emailing left and right saying, I read the excerpt of your book and I'm so excited to implement this in your business. Is there any way that I can go a little bit deeper? If you have not gotten a copy of the book, you can go to askformula.com, and you can get a copy of the book there. It's a pre-order copy, and as soon as it becomes available, we will ship the copy to you. Askformula.com. Can we wait till after we go through the course to decide if you want to be part of the software in the community? Absolutely, you can. You will pay full price. You will pay $200 a month for the community, and you will pay $100 a month for the survey software alone. That's $300 a month. If you raise your hand and say you may be interested after you sign up for the training, I'm not asking you to commit until the 6-week program's over. In other words, let me just walk you through this right here. You click on that link right here. Let's go back. One moment. You click on this link here. Let me walk you through exactly what's going to happen, just to make this very simple. You click on this link here. You're going to get to a checkout page. It's going to ask you for your payment information. You will pay $197, and you will get taken to another screen. That screen will have a video. The video will give you the opportunity to say you can click a button that says, I might be interested. And all you have to do is say, I might be interested in being part of this community of yours. You will not be billed another penny. The most amount of money that you can spend today is $197. I will not even accept another penny of your money. And the reason why is I want you to go through the course before you decide if you want to be part of our community. But by saying you may be interested, you'll be billed $0 for the community today. After the course is over, if you decide to move forward, you will be billed $97 a month. And you can cancel and leave at any time. But if you wait and say, I don't know, I don't want to even raise my hand and say I may be interested, of course, you can join a year from now, 3 years from now, whatever, and depending on what the community sells at, I have no idea. It might be $200, $300, $500. You can always join. But what I do know is that when you raise your hand after you invest in the training, that you will be getting in at that $97 a month, and you will get the software for free, and you will be grandfathered into that pricing forever. And when you think about it, if this strategy is as successful as it has been for so many other people for your business, you're going to be glad that you locked yourself in to that lowest price that has ever been made available. Okay. So let's go through some of the last few questions that people are asking. Okay, does the software come with the program? You are getting for $197, one payment of $197, you are getting access to the training. You will see exactly how this works. Some people may decide that they have an in-house development team. You've got a team of 10 software programmers. You don't want to use our software, and you can use your own. The software is a second item. It is not required to implement this, but it's what I use. It's what my team uses, so naturally it's something that we think is a good fit. It's a separate program. The software is separate from the actual training program. It is only, you get access to that software for free only when you join the online community of other business owners who are implementing the survey funnel formula in their business. And the name of the community, it's a Facebook group called Next Level Group Mastermind, and you can see that there are somewhere between 500 and 600 people, possibly, I don't know what the number is exactly right now. It will be growing to get access to that program. It's one of the most active groups available. In fact, we have some of the highest level marketers in the world in that group right now, and it is a giving group. Let's see, any other questions that have come through? Let's see. Is there a replay? There may be a replay. Are you emailing out a copy of today's webinar? We're going to try. Okay, if you bought but didn't click on the I may be interested, we'll give you a 24-hour window. So forward your receipt right away, as quick as you can right now to Kimberly at contact@RL Associates LLC. Any later than 24 hours, and the answer is unfortunately no, because otherwise my integrity is on the line, and I don't want to promise something to people and then go back on that promise. So if you accidentally click the wrong button, we understand everybody's human, but you must decide the same day that your order goes through. Okay. Let's see. Any other questions? 3 times accelerator is included. I have no idea what that is. That has nothing to do with what we talked about today. Great Weber processing offering. Awesome. Moving forward. This is awesome. Let's see. Talked about the flow chart. Yes, people are looking forward to breakthrough and just crushing it. Thanks. Yes, Mike asks, can I segment the answers without the bucket? Yeah, listen, if you are going through the course and you want to accelerate your access to the community and the software, if you say, hey, listen, you know what? I'm ready to do this now. I want to get in the community and I want to get access to the software right away. After you place your order and join us in the program, forward your receipt to Kimberly at contact@RL Associates and say, I'd like to join the community right away. I want to get access to the software immediately. And for people who are action takers like that, what we'll do is we'll just accelerate your $97 a month payment to happen right now, and you'll get immediate access to the software and immediate access to the Facebook group. So for people who are just ready to hit the ground running and get access to everything right away and they just want to go for it right away, then we will do that, okay? We will set you up with that, and the way to do that is you email Mike, this is for you and anybody else in this situation, after you invest in the program, forward your receipt to Kimberly and say, I signed up for the mastermind, I signed up for the software, I want to get access to this right away, and she will set you up. Which brings it to an important point. You see, because my business is designed to help a small number of high-level businesses, you're going to get you're going to experience a very personal touch. And what I mean by that is you're going to be getting access to my actual company training portal. This is not a big, fancy, quote-unquote, information product. You're actually getting access to my internal training portal. Like, I have 4 new people who are starting in our company on Monday this week. They're going to be going through the same training. This is how we train up our staff. This is how we train up our team, and you're going to get access to this. So the reason why I bring that up is Kimberly is going to manually set you up with a username and password in my own internal training portal, okay? So for that reason, I know there's some people on this that are itching to get started right away. It's not instantaneous. Typically, we'll set you up within 24 hours. Oftentimes, it's usually within an hour or two after you sign up, as long as it's not in the middle of the night. So it'll happen as fast as possible, but I want to bring that up because what you're getting access to is truly very special. Only a handful of people outside my company have even laid eyes on what you are about to see. So this is really special, and I just wanted to manage your expectations so you know when to expect to get access. And so because of the way our business is set up, you will be working with my team, and we will be helping you and holding your hand. Okay, let's see. Let's see. Okay, questions. Okay. See. Okay. What is the software again? The software is something that you get access to when you become part of our community. Okay. Let's see. How do you evaluate a market before you enter it? I also have an additional training program on that that teaches you how to choose the market that you are considering. Let's see. Any last questions? Any last questions? The link to the Facebook Mastermind group, that's something that you'll get access to the link, Roland, after you sign up for the group. We'll give you it's a secret group, it's a private group, so you'll get access to the link to join the Mastermind group after you sign up. And if you want to accelerate your payment to get access to that right now today, then we can do that. We can make that happen for you. And the way you do that is after you go through the order process, forward your email receipt to Kimberly and say, I'd like to get access right away. Please tell me what I need to do to accelerate my billing so my $97 payment comes through immediately. And once that payment comes through, we'll let you into the group. Any other questions? Going once, going twice. Let's see, who will be teaching the traffic course? The traffic faculty in our paid Facebook community we have, and let me just go through some of the faculty who are teaching. So we have Kurt Malley, who teaches Facebook traffic. We have Rob Surecki, who runs an agency that drives a lot of traffic to the funnels that I run. We have Mike Colella, who runs a company called adbeat.com, which is competitive software. He teaches a course on display advertising. We have Goer Chaudhry, who teaches PPV advertising. We have Danny Inney, who's an expert who teaches audience building through blogs and driving blog traffic. We have Mike Rhodes, who teaches retargeting. Mike co-wrote the Google AdWords Entrepreneur Press Guide to Google AdWords, and this is the best-selling book on Google AdWords. Mike Rhodes is on our faculty, and as soon as you become part of the mastermind, you get access to all that past training, as well as a weekly training call where we bring on an expert every single week to teach all the elements that you need to build a successful online business and take your business to the next level. It is one of the most comprehensive groups to be part of. Again, we only let people who have gone through our training into that program because we like to keep the level of conversation high so that we all have the same background and understanding of what we're doing. So that just scratches the surface. We have people who are part of the online community, and they are paying members, by the way. They're not in there for free because they're friends of mine. People like Ryan Dice. Ryan Dice is a paid member of the group. People like Andre Chaperone, who created Autoresponder Madness, one of the best email marketing programs, is a paid member of the group. People like Kevin Rogers, who's one of the highest paid, best copywriters in the world, are paid members of the group. People like Matt Lloyd, Empower Network, are members of the group. Shakir Hussain, members of the group. Some of the best online marketers in the world, and I'm not even naming half the names that are in there. For most of these people, this is the one group that they are part of. This is the one group, the only paid group that they are part of online in Facebook. And for many people, this is what they say. This has become their new Facebook because it's the only place that they visit because the level of content, the value is unbelievable. It's to the tune that just one weekly call, one of these weekly training calls that we do, more than gives you your money's worth. I've done things like reveal an entire Black Friday email sequence that you can just swipe and deploy. People took that email sequence and generated as much as $160,000 in just worth of sending out emails. We hold nothing back. But again, we only open up this paid private community, this mastermind, to people who have gone through our training so that everybody in the group has the same baseline understanding. It's sort of like everybody needs to go through the 101 course in order to have an intelligent level conversation in the 102 course. So that's it. Okay, let's see. Do we offer any funnel critiques and funnel reviews? That's one of the biggest things that people do in the paid Facebook mastermind. People are constantly posting their funnels. People are constantly getting feedback. My entire team, our team right now is about 20, 25 people and growing fast. My entire team every single day is in that group. I'm inside that group. You're getting feedback from some of the best marketers in the world. Let's see. Could this be used to market to financial services? And it could, and in fact, I am. Some of the other markets that I didn't mention that we are doing this for. We sell high-end water ionization systems using this model. We sell dental, local dentists. Local dentists use this model to sell patients into their practice. I mentioned skincare, skin cream, personalized leather journals. People are in real estate using this model to funnel people into the best real estate opportunity, and for people to funnel potential renters into the best apartment using apartment rental placement systems. So there's really, like I said, this works for all price points. We do everything from selling just pay shipping, free just pay shipping offers starting at $4.95, all the way through selling $2,000 pieces of equipment. We have a business in the business funding space like that I mentioned, where we use this to funnel people into the best business funding package for them. We have consultants who use this to funnel people into the best consulting package for them. So this works for any business. This works for any traffic source. This works for any price point. It's really one of these rare things that's pretty much universal. And the way I answer is this, will this work for my business? And the answer I give is this. I've yet to find a business that this has not worked for. Okay? So I bring that up. Let's see. Any other questions? What if I'm already in Survey Funnel Formula? A few people have asked that question. The answer is, if you'd like to get inside our group, Ken, or anybody else who's already invested in our training, send an email to Kimberly, and she will set you up with a link to join the paid mastermind group. Any other questions? Going once, going twice. Okay, I'll leave you with one last comment, one last thought, and that's this. If you're interested, if you're even just curious to see behind the curtain, to see exactly how this works, and see if this might be something that you can use in your business, here's my recommendation. Don't try to decide if this is right for you today. Instead, click on the link, take advantage of this special one-time opportunity, and get in. Get inside so at least you can see what this is all about. You can get a sense for if this is something you might be able to use. Then take your time, go through the first 4 modules of the program. Take lots of notes, watch all the videos, download all the cheat sheets to your hard drive, even play around a little bit with some of the techniques that you learn. If for some reason or any reason at all that you decide it's not for you, all you have to do is send a one-line email to my assistant, Kimberly. Say, listen, it's not what I thought. It doesn't quite work for me. Whatever the reason is, it does not matter. We will offer you and issue you courteously a full refund for your purchase. And the reason why we do this, and the reason why I do this, is it's simple. Listen, my goal is not to sell you something for $197. My goal is to identify people who are serious about their business, serious about making an investment in themselves, who I would like to be part of this community that we're building, who I would like to be part of what the movement that I'm trying to build and that my team and I are trying to build. Again, my vision is simple. Every homepage in the world needs and deserves a survey funnel. And so I'm trying to make that happen. So I know we're at time. I want to say thank you for everybody who took the time to be with me on this training presentation. Once again, the link one last time, surveyfunnelformula.com/ask. The deadline to take advantage of the special one-time opportunity is this Sunday at 11:59 Pacific Standard Time. And if you are interested or even just curious to check this out, because you're completely protected by my 100% money-back guarantee, I urge you to click on the link, go to surveyfunnelformula.com/ask. Do this right now while you've got the screen in front of you, while it's on your mind. Don't let this slip your mind. Don't let Monday come around for you to say, oh, crap, I forgot about this, and write into my customer service and say, is there any way we can get in? The answer, unfortunately, is going to be no. So I strongly urge that you do this right now. I look forward to seeing you on the other side, and I look forward to helping you take your business to the next level. Thank you so much for being with me here today, and I will catch you on the other side. Take care.